Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. So we'll start from 56th verse onwards. I know we covered a bit of it yesterday, but let's just start from there again. दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. Dukkeshu, in adversities, anudvignamanaha, not affected, sukheshu, in pleasures, vigatasprihaha, one who is without yearning, vita raga bhaya krodhaha, one who is free from longing, fear and anger. Munihi, the wise person, sthitadhihi, one whose knowledge remains, uchyate, is said. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha, sukeshu vigatasprihaha, vita raga bhaya krodhaha, munihi stitadihi uchyate. The one who is not affected by adversities, who is without yearning for pleasures, and is free from longing, fear, and anger, is said to be a wise person whose knowledge remains. Arjuna's question, as we have seen, was answered completely in the previous verse. Being awake to yourself and in yourself alone, you discover your joy, your fulfillment, and you discover it by yourself, meaning through knowledge. Without self-knowledge, you cannot discover happiness in yourself. How can you discover happiness in yourself, by yourself, when the self is unhappy? Generally, you are happy if your desire is fulfilled. But here you are happy with yourself without fulfilling any desire. The nature of the Atma is free from any sense of limitation, and the person who is awake to this particular fact the sthita prajna is free from unhappiness. As desires arise in his or her mind, the person is not affected by them because of being happy with himself or herself. This then was how Krishna described the characteristics of a person of wisdom when Arjuna wanted to know how a wise person responds to the world. Even though one's response to the world does not necessarily reveal how much wisdom one has, still Arjuna thought that the spontaneous expressions of a wise person interacting in the world would reflect those values to be cultivated assiduously by a seeker and would therefore serve as a handy reference. Knowing how a wise person expresses himself or herself in the world is not for judging whether a person is wise or not. It is not that we have a matrix of norms indicating the exact behavior of a wise person against which everyone is measured. It is only to know what I should follow in order to be wise. Just give me a minute, I'll be back. Maybe we can just reflect on what we have read and understood here. No, I just had some pain in the eye. I applied the kajal and it was like smarking a lot. So I had to just go and wash. And I was just reflecting on what Swamiji said here in this verse, where a person who is unhappy within himself, he cannot be happy with himself, right? How can you discover happiness in yourself by yourself when the self is unhappy? So you're not able to see. I mean, I'm just giving my example. I was not able to see and read this because my eye was smarting and it was like hurting a lot. So similarly, the self, unless you go within and you are fulfilled with yourself and you know that through self-knowledge that you are happiness, there is no way you can be a sthita prajna. And which is why desires, as and when they come, they whether they get fulfilled or not, the sthita prajna is still happy. So in order to see clearly, your eye should have um, uh, no blemish inside, nothing hurting inside. It has to be clear. The vision then will be very clear without any hindrance. Yeah. What was it that the wise person followed before becoming wise that made him or her wise, and that continues as the spontaneous expression of the person? This is what Arjuna really wanted to know, because the characteristics of a sthita prajna become the very means, the sadhanas to be followed by a mumukshu. Krishna understood this to be the spirit of Arjuna's question and answered it accordingly. Because what was Arjuna's question? Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, sthita prajnasya ka bhasha,
Sthitadir muniruchyate.
Sthitadir muniruchyate. Kim asita vrajeta kim is the last one.
Sthitadi kim prabhashet.
Sthitadi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Yeah? So that was Arjuna's question. Who is the one who's going to be called a Sthita Prajna? How does he eat, sleep, drink, move around? Because he wanted to keep that as a yardstick. Now he knew, Arjuna knew, becoming a Sthita Prajna is what is required. After Krishna spoke to him all about Karma Yoga, now he wanted to know and measure himself and see where he stands. The threefold source of sorrow. I think we did all of this yesterday, but I think maybe it's a good idea to just repeat it once. Sorrow or pain, dukkha, has three sources: adhyatmika, adi bhautika, and adi daivika. Adhyatmika is pain for which the source is your own body, mind, and senses, from a stomachache onwards. The second source of sorrow, adi bhautika, are the situations around you, including the people and bugs that irritate you. Finally, adi daivika is the pain or sorrow caused by such things as earthquakes and lightning. This kind of pain is not created by your brother-in-law or anyone else, but is from a source that is absolutely divine, natural phenomena over which you have no control whatsoever. You may try to control mosquitoes with certain sprays that will destroy them, but there is nothing you can do to prevent an earthquake. So beautifully categorized the different sources of sorrow. One is Adhyatmika, pertaining to yourself, your body, mind, senses. Then Adi Bhautika, pertaining to beings around you, people or animals. And then you have Adi Daivika, which is beyond. It is beyond your control. It is to do with nature and thus, while the source of sorrow is threefold, there are not different types of sorrow. Sorrow may express itself in 100 different ways: weeping, howling, kicking, moaning, and so on. But the sorrow itself is one and the same. The word dukkeshu in the verse is in the plural because the source of sorrow is threefold. As explained by Shankara in his commentary on this verse. And those whose minds are not affected or shaken by the sorrow arising from these three sources of pain are said to be wise. So not shaken not just from your body, not just by yourself, not just adhyatmika, adi bhautika, and adi daivika. All the three sources of sorrow. This person is not shaken up.
Can you read that three sources again, please?
Adhyatmika, adi bhautika, and adi daivika. Adhyatma, Atma is to do with yourself. So, Adhyatmika is pain in which the source is yourself. Your own body, mind, and senses from a stomachache onwards. The second source of sorrow is Adi Bhautika, situations around you, including the people and bugs that irritate you. Finally, Adi Daivika is the pain or sorrow caused by such things as earthquakes and lightning. This kind of pain is not created by your brother-in-law or anyone else, but is from a source that is absolutely divine, natural phenomena over which you have no control whatsoever. You may try to control mosquitoes with certain sprays that will destroy them, but there is nothing you can do to prevent an earthquake. So, although the sources of sorrow are are there are three different sources of sorrow. The sorrow that is there is only one sorrow, but it is expressed differently. You might express it by just being quiet and take it within. You might weep, howl, kick, moan. But the sorrow is one and the same. The way it expresses is different. Because the sources of pain are always active, pain is possible for a wise person, but he or she is not affected by it. See, the sources of pain are always active because it's a flux. The whole world is in a flux, including our own body. So that is always dynamic, it is active, but a person, wise person, is not affected by it. What then is the response of a wise man when his head aches? Will his head ache? Is the first question. Or let us start from the very beginning. Does he even have a head? Yes, and because the wise man continues to have a head, it may ache. Now, when his head aches, does he know it or not? After all, he is Satchit Ananda. Being Satchit Ananda, what happens when there is a headache? Does he recognize it? The verse indicates that he does by saying, when such pain occurs, the wise man is not affected. So very well explained, right? Otherwise, this verse will not be there. So it does not mean that a wise person does not experience pain. The only thing he does is he does not suffer, unlike any one of us. So the wise man or woman, he or she goes through pain. Having a human body is adhyatmika, the source of pain from the body, mind, senses will be there. But he or she is not affected. When anyone recognizes dukkha, there is dukkha for him. But what happens afterwards? The person is shaken by pain or sorrow, and then he becomes disturbed. Udvigna manaha. Any disturbance from the three sources described above can make it a reality. The headache is there, you recognize it, and then you worry about it until your whole head and everything else aches. You may even become a pain to everyone around you. You were the only one with a neck pain, but you talk so much about it and make such a fuss that your pain also becomes everyone else's pain in the neck. This is so true, isn't it? I'm reading this paragraph again. So, when anyone recognizes dukkha, there is dukkha for him. But what happens afterwards? The person is shaken by pain or sorrow, and then he becomes disturbed. Udvigna manaha. Any disturbance from the three sources described above can make it a reality. So either yourself, from people or situations around you, or from any phenomena, natural phenomena that is happening. So any of these three sources, one can be disturbed. And this disturbance makes it a reality because you get disturbed inside your birth. The person is shaken up. The headache is there, you recognize it, and then you worry about it until your whole head and everything else aches. You may even become a pain to everyone around. You were the only one with a neck pain, but you talk so much about it and make such a fuss about that your pain also becomes everyone else's pain in the neck. That's why Gurudev says pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So, for a wise man, that is not an option at all. Suffering doesn't happen because he might recognize pain, but it does not disturb his inner peace. There is a difference, there is a distinction, a distance between him and the pain because he is happy with himself, by himself. So there is no desire even for that headache to disappear, to get rid of the headache, then he'll be happy. He's anyway happy. He's anyway still. Which is how I suppose Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, all of them, they had such severe pain. And pain from oncological pain, pain from cancer, is one of the most severe kinds of pain. They were able to even smile through that. Which is why Rajima would say, he says, whenever there is some disturbance, don't just go quickly and try and, sort it out. Go through it. That tapas has to be there, which is what we are as sadhaks supposed to do. A wise man does not, although he experiences pain, is not disturbed by it. So, what we can do as sadhana is to use this tapas and forbear it. One is to accept, and the second is to forbear. A wise person's response to sukha. What about pleasure, sukha then? There are people who can remain quiet when dukkha comes, but jump around like a football when something pleasant happens. The word sukheshu here refers to any happy, pleasant situation, regardless of its source, which can also be described in the same threefold manner. Sukha can come from your own sensory pleasure, that is adhyatmika, from an external, from some external event, or yearning for such pleasures. So it can be adi bhautika. Yeah, it can be described in the same threefold manner. Or yearning for such pleasures, sukheshu spriha. But does a wise person not laugh when something funny is happening? Yes, but there is no encore, once more from the person, no longing. Recognizing both pain and pleasure, he or she is not carried away by either of them. Sukheshu vigata sprihaha, dukkeshu anudvigna manaha. This characteristic then becomes the sadhana for a mumukshu. So when he is given gulab jamun, he eats one, he enjoys it. His heart, his mind does not yearn for one more, one more. Something pleasurable, he just experiences it. So normally when we go through some pleasure, there is a craving that develops to have it more. So when exposed to sukha, there is no craving, there is no longing. So he's free from raga towards pleasurable things and dvesha towards adversities. So he takes them as they come, both situations. Shankara, in his commentary to this verse, gives the example of fire. If you feed the fire with more wood, it will grow even more. Anuvivardhate. In keeping with the fuel that is being offered, it grows to become a big conflagration. When you first light a fire, it always starts as a flame. But set one match to a tank of gasoline and you have an instant conflagration. Thus, the more the fuel, the more the fire. Unlike the fire, Shankara said, the wise person Sukha resolves in himself or herself, in his or her fullness. The idea here is, since there is no yearning for Sukha, the person's desires do not get out of hand. Krishna also said in this verse that one who is not swept away by either sukha or dukkha is free of likes, fear, and anger. He is Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Freedom from raga implies freedom from dvesha also. They are a pair. When one is mentioned, the other one is automatically understood to be included. In other words, they go together. The happiness of those who are not in the hands of raga dveshas is not determined by their raga dveshas. Their raga dveshas do not affect their being happy with themselves. The raga dveshas no longer have any teeth. They may be raga dveshas or old raga dveshas, but either way, they do not bite because they cannot bite. They can only be enjoyed. This is why the raga dveshas of the wise are referred to as non-binding. They are toothless. So we cannot sit in judgment and say, oh, this person is not wise because he has some apparent raga that we pick up. We say, like I talked about the Swami who, in my opinion, at that point of time, was he should not be wanting to drink coffee or tea. But he had asked for a cup of coffee. And for me, I was thinking, oh, how come Swami is asking for a cup of coffee? But he may have some baby raga dveshas, but they are non-binding. So whether he gets that cup of coffee or not, he's still happy. So they are not in the hands of raga dveshas. Raga dveshas don't have teeth. They don't hurt him anymore. So shall we? I know we did Manana yesterday on this, but it's worth doing it one more time. Anyone wants to share?
For Sukha, the example of that Agni means that fire is very nice. When the fire is lit, it is just a flame. But when you have many desires, like that equated to the that bigger explosive, where the explosion.
Conflagration, yeah.
That was very good. Means that how the sukha keeps you and many desires for the sukha crave and this explosion like that means you are nowhere. Then you are not contained and fulfilled. One by one, each time the desire will come, and you will be not yourself then. And so the Sthita Prajna doesn't have such type of desires. So keep centered He has given a very means in the commentary it's given a very good example of Agni, this flame, how desire can burst you like in the samsara.
Yes, if we are not aware, this goes on and on. It's like a bottomless pit. And then you keep feeding it. You have one more desire, one more craving. And it will keep asking for more. So the thing is, Manaha takes you outwardly, whereas Namaha is what takes you inwardly. So the journey of a sadhak is from Mana to Namaha. Go within, and that Antarmukhi Sadasukhi, getting to know that happiness, you are the source of happiness and joy.
And for Sthita Pragya, that whatever the desire he has, it is a non-binding, and it doesn't. If it is, if even if it comes, it doesn't hurt him. Means that toothlessness. He said, no, it's so beautiful.
See, and the reason why we as sadhaks have to go out and work and act, not stay in action, is only when you act, when you interact with people, situations. See, these different types of sorrows, they surface up because the sorrows, those the sources of sorrow are active. Unless we do that, that is like a laboratory for us. That is like a physical testing ground for us to see how established we are.
For Sukha, also these three sources only.
Yeah. Sukha also three sources.
Okay.
That is what is mentioned, no? Sukha also. Sukha can come from your own. See, the word Sukeshu here refers to any happy, pleasant situation, regardless of its source, which can also be described in the same threefold manner, which is the Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, and Adidaivika. Sukha can come from your own sensory pleasure, from some external event, or yearning for such pleasures. Sukeshu Spriha. But here, what is not very discreetly is not mentioned is the sukha that you experience, the sattvic sukha. Like you're sitting in meditation or you're sitting in a homa or a prayer. That sukha, that is one thing that you don't develop dispassion to. That is not mentioned here.
Give the three
But
different examples.
huh?
Can you give the three different examples for three sources that means Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik? Means here they have not spoke about the sources of happiness from this happiness from these three sources.
Yeah. See, it can come from your own sensory pleasure. Like you are.
Okay, that
Sensory
I
pleasure
understood. And
again implies there is something that stimulates the senses. So even if we give an example of gulab jamun, you're eating the gulab jamun, and that gives you that sense of pleasure. See, there are some people who are averse to sweets. For them, eating a gulab jamun gives them sorrow. But for most people, eating a gulab jamun stimulates their senses of sense of taste, and it gives them a pleasurable feeling. It gives them happiness, right? So that is adhyatmika. It's a combination of adhyatmika and adi bhautika, because the gulab jamun is an external source. Similarly, some
that
person like someone who's very dear to you comes home, or your own, that gives you a lot of pleasure, a lot of happiness. And Adi Daivika would be, I would understand it as anything that
Maybe
is
because of the
divine.
grace.
Because of grace, or when you're in nature, you're just there with the mountains and then the rivers, and you're just at peace with yourself. So there is something from the natural world that makes you feel happy. It could be just sitting in a puja, sitting in a homa, just meditating. So that you get, that the joy that you get, probably that, because that is also fleeting. It's not established in you. You're not you're not having the same sense of happiness throughout. It is there at that moment. Unlike a
But
Sthita
it's
Prajna.
not
For a
binding.
Sthita Prajna, it is established throughout, he's in that state. Yeah, someone was saying something.
Means that what you explain, that is not binding. That experiencing the means peace, seeing the mountain or to the river, but someone crave again for that experience, then it will be not, it will be a binding desire. But for Sthita
Right.
Pratnya, he will be there, but
Yeah,
it is not binding for him.
yeah. Whether he's in the Alps, in the mountains, or he's in the
Because
slums, he's in
hmm,
the same, which is how Gurudev is, no? You look at him, how he is, just watching him is such a learning experience. Whether he's talking to a terrorist or he's talking to the greatest person on earth, or position wise, or whether he's in the UN or he's in the slums, he is the same. So situations don't shake Sthita Prajna.
day before yesterday, that Jagat Guru was there, no? He said
Mm.
how he is steady and how he's Gunatit. It was so beautifully explained. No
Mm.
one without this clarity can be in this. Like he has given the example of Krishna, how neutral he is and how the neutral person becomes beautiful.
Hariom Brahmaraji, any this Vita, what is the meaning of Vita? Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. So Vita is dislikes,
No, Vita is devoid of.
devoid of.
Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. He is devoid of. See, Vita Raga Bhaya, one who is free from longing, fear, and anger. The Vita is being free, being
Okay,
free
from
of.
that craving part, yeah.
Yeah. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. So he is free from longing, fear, and anger.
Mm.
And for Sukha here it is written, no, he will not be like a football. Means not craving like that.
Ah.
That Sattvic Sukha can come in Adi Daivik Brahmaraji?
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, I think Satvik Sukha, see, because what is Adi Daivika is something that comes from
Natural calamity or
natural, yeah,
negative, yeah. But it can be positive as a grace also.
yeah. See, Adi Daivika is that is caused by earthquakes. This is the sorrow. This is the dukkha that you get from earthquakes, lightning, etc. This it is from a source that is absolutely divine, natural phenomena over which you have no control whatsoever. So something that is natural, something that is divine, that is beyond your control. That is Adi Daivika. Similarly, Sukha can also be Adi Daivika. That is why we have to go beyond even the three gunas, because that is again sattvic sukha, isn't it? So getting craving only for that sattvic sukha will keep you bound. So we go one step further beyond the sattvic sukha as well. Otherwise, we'll become like that the person who's exposed to the words, flowery words, the Vedas, saying you do this, you do that, you get this result. It's all very pleasurable. You would get lost in that.
To the experiences in meditation, we can say they are to be Adi Devika, right?
I suppose so, isn't it?
Because you have different experiences. It is not the same experience you are having this all days. So it all depends upon the uh, you can say the grace of the god, or that Adi Devik part, which is responsible for your experience, because you are sitting with no sensory organ is involved. It's only that because of the Devik part, it is happening. So I think it would be that Adi Devika, because
And
there you are not playing any role to seek that pleasure. It is only that you are meditating, so you are having some experiences. So it would be, I think, Adi Devika only.
right. I think you're right. What I said earlier that you should not have dispassion towards this is I would take it back, because we say when you're meditating and you get a very good experience one day, just take it as be balanced with respect to it. Do not start craving and say, oh, every day I want to have that kind of experience. Then it becomes a craving. So you drop that craving for even that kind of that the experience that you get. Sometimes that meditation is really beautiful, and sometimes you feel you're not settled. There is something
Incomplete. We feel
incomplete.
incomplete. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? So you drop that craving, that vigata spraha, even for that experience. You don't
And
stop doing meditation. So that dispassion should not be for the practice of meditation. The dispassion should be there for that experience. Like you,
experience,
mm,
right.
it's
And
such a
when we
maya, no? It's such
experience,
a, it's like, yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. Just wanting to, like, I was just thinking over. So, if when we are in the nature, like maybe in the river or in the mountains, then I think then at that time our sensory organs are functioning more, because you are taking that environment, you seek pleasure out of that environment. uh, your sensory organs become active. You feel that calmness and serenity of your nervous system, basically. So that is again, I think it is again that Adi Bhautika. Sorry,
Like what
it would be it would be Adi. What for we Adi?
Daivika.
What? No, no.
but for
Devika.
Stita Prajna, that Drusha will become a Drashta. Means that he will not become a Drusha, no? Drashta will be there.
Sorry, I could not get the train of thought. Can you just repeat what you said, Savitaji?
Yeah, I said that when we suppose we are in the midst of mountain or near a river, then when we suppose we take a dip in the water, or we are sitting on a mountain and feeling that air and experiencing that environment, then is it not that we are having that the sensory organs are being feed, they are feeded for like the serenity then calmness which is happening at that moment? Isn't that time the sensory organs are active because we
They
are
are, they
taking
have to
in?
be. See, the common
Yeah, we are.
point is the sensory organs only.
Yeah, so uh, so it is again the first part of that of how we take uh, the pleasure with the help of our sensory organs. So we will
Ah,
categorize in that, no,
it is
the
there. It's
nature.
through
Yeah.
the medium of the senses that we experience the world. No.
Yes.
So that adhyatma part is there. For a
Yeah.
blind person, no matter where he is, he does not have any difference, right? But for a person who is able to see, when he goes when he goes to a beautiful place, it enlivens him. It gives him that pleasure.
Yeah,
So
so
no
that
doubt,
pleasure, sorry to interrupt, but that pleasure is through sensory organs. So that I wanted to like
huh,
clarify.
but what is the cause of the pleasure? Yeah, we're talking about the causes, right? There are three
Causes, right?
causes. So the cause here is that external factor. It could
External
be a
factor.
situation. It could be something divine. It could be some beautiful natural phenomena, waterfalls that you're seeing. That has triggered your senses. See, endpoint is senses. Through the mind, through the eyes, and through different sense organs, we perceive the world. So the senses are involved. Without the senses, we cannot experience uh, sukha, right?
Right.
Senses or the mind.
So it will be called Adhyatmika Sukha.
That will be called. You look at the source. Where is the
Yeah.
source? The
Pose. So that
source
will be Adhyatmika.
that will be, if you're talking of a natural phenomena, then it becomes Adi Daivika.
Okay. Adi Devika.
Adi Daivika is an external source that
Source.
is that,
Yeah.
that is not in your control.
Yes. But how
That
we
is
are
that,
perceiving it, if we take
yeah,
it from that point of view, then it becomes Adhyatmika. Like we are taking that the source is your own sense organ, which are like take through which the that pleasure is coming because of that sense organ. Like it's
yeah.
I
No, I
think we
get
can
what you're
break.
saying,
yeah.
but that
I
is a
can think.
connect. No, the senses are the connect between the external world and the mind inside. So without the senses, there is no way you can experience either sukha or dukkha.
Okay,
I
now
think
I
we
understand.
can take the example like gulab jamun and sunrise or sunset. That is beyond your control. That sunset or sunrise. But here, the external thing, the gulab jamun. Even if you was perceiving it through senses, for sunrise, your senses means what you can see only, but it is divine happening. That source is different.
Right. A
Gurudev
person,
says no, go from the experience to the experiencer. Whatever it is, through your taste or through your sight, whatever you are experiencing, that joy is the experiencer. So you move from the source, which you think is the joy, to the experiencer of, isn't it?
yeah.
Right.
So in deep sleep, whether you're in the mountains or in a slum, it makes no difference. You're not aware of that. So you require the senses. So because you require the senses, there is of course adhyatma part to it. But the source, actual source is the, if you categorize it, different sources of sorrow, 3 different sources of happiness. So I wouldn't call happiness, sorry, pleasure. There's only one source of happiness, that is you.
Hari Om Brahmaraji, I'm sorry it is not with this respect, but I'm just trying to understand the difference between Adhyatmika, when it is Atmika, something related, Adi Atmika, Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautik. Because when it is talked about Adhyatmika, it is related to yourself, right? Your own sensory pleasures and
Correct.
everything it is included. But then Adhyatmika, when we say the literal meaning, Adhyatmika is very, very different.
That is different. See, that is why we have to take it with respect to the context.
Okay, okay. So not the literal meaning here.
Not the other meaning. Adhyatma means spiritual.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So here we
that
have
is,
to take it as Adi Atmik.
Atma there means your physical self, yourself, senses,
Correct.
mind, intellect, all that is the Adhyatma. Well, even I used to get confused. I say Adhyatma, how come? How is it? Because this normal concept of Adhyatma is something which is spiritual.
Correct.
But here in this context, this is how we understand it.
Right, right.
In some stanzas, Atma is meant to be the mind. But normal understanding of Atma is the self, the big self. So it again, contextually, we have to understand, which is why following the commentary is so important. Following.
Brahmaraji,
up standalone and then say, oh, this is how it is. No, it is with respect to the context.
Yeah, one request, Brahmaraji. Can we have Nanaji for this? I mean, some because
second
it's
chapter,
been
no?
long. Yeah.
I will request him.
Yeah, please. It's been long time, and there are so many things which I mean. Sometimes you are stuck to that, and then
correct. Can we have, as we are doing the second chapter, we still have maybe another 20 odd verses. If we can just jot down wherever we're getting doubts, where we feeling we need some clarity, if we can write them down, that will be really useful for us, for our own clarification, as well as when he comes on for the session, it will be easy for him also to, we can make the best use of the time that we have.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah, we will do that, Brahmaraji.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the absence of fear, I think we'll stop here. We have another 5 minutes. Duality and fear.
Every paragraph is so very important. I mean, we feel like repeating again and again. Especially the duality part, which we did before also on 326 page also.
Yeah.
So I think we have to visit there again and again and make it very clear.
Right. So there are a few paras. If you are okay with it, I will read this and then we can close at 6. Then we would have got this verse. We would have, with absence of fear. Once raga is gone, fear also goes. Fear exists only when desire is there. And desire is there only when raga dvesha is there. Of course, we'll repeat this fear part again tomorrow. Krishna, kama indicates duality. It is due to the notion, I am this much alone. Everything else is other than me, and I have to get it. Thus, there is duality, meaning that there is a difference between Jiva, the individual, and Ishvara, the Lord. Jiveshvara Bheda. Naturally, then, there will be fear because a difference between the individual and the Lord implies duality between the individual and the world. And duality between the individual and the world means duality between individual and individual. Once you accept a duality between the individual and Ishvara, you will find difference, Bheda everywhere. So beautifully derived. So once raga is gone, fear also goes. Fear exists only when desire is there. And desire is there only when raga dvesha is there. So when for karma to happen, there has to be duality. It is the notion I am this much alone. Everything else is other than me and I have to get it. So that Bheda is there. So first Bheda is between Jiva and Ishvara. And then Jiva and Jagat. And then Jiva and individual Jivas. So therefore that difference creeps up. If you think that you are different from Ishvara, you will think that you are different from the world and from everyone else in the world. And in this world of duality, you are an insecure person. Therefore, the fear of danger from another source will always be there because the other will always be there. Fear comes from duality only. And any fear means that duality is there because you recognize the source of fear as something other than yourself. You can even be afraid of yourself if you have created a split in yourself. There is an ideal I and an actual I. And the actual I is always frightening to the ideal I. This is also the reason why you are afraid of an insane person, provided you are sane, of course. Similarly, you may find that you are afraid of a person who is sad. There can be no fear if there is only one thing, Vastu. A second thing is necessary for fear to occur. Therefore, the one who has no duality is not only free from raga dvesha, but is also free from fear. Anger also goes. Lastly, a wise person is free from anger, which is nothing but another form of raga. The desire itself is transformed into anger. First, the desire is in a very benign form, and then it is transformed into another form, an ugly form called anger. We will be seeing this later in the chapter. Kamat krodha abhijayate. When what I want is not accomplished due to some obstruction, that very kama turns into anger, whose target is the obstruction. Whatever is obstructing my desire becomes the object of my anger. Many murders take place because the object of a person's love becomes the object of his or her anger. A man does not kill the loving woman, he kills only the obstinate, unwilling woman. And then he will cry for the loving one. Thus, when a person becomes an obstruction to your desire, that same person becomes the object of your anger. Anger is always a mutilated, transformed, deflected form of karma. Therefore, if you are free of karma desire, you will be free of krodha, anger. Duality and fear. The word bhaya, fear, was put between the words raga and krodha because of its special significance, which is dealt with very well in the Shastra. I think we will stop here today. It's 6 o'clock. So, duality and fear, actually, the whole thing about fear we can start tomorrow. So, page 338. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. This Om Shanti 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 3 times that we say is to let there be peace within myself, within this environment, and within the natural. Actually, it is talking about the Adi Daivi, Adi Adhyatma, Adi Bhautika, and Adhyatma. Sorry, Adi Daivika. So the 3 different levels. One of the interpretations is Om Shanti Shanti.
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the effort. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open your eyes.